Hey, it's Kinga. These past 2 weeks have been a bit challenging for me emotionally. I've been going through some difficult times, but nothing major, nothing to worry about. It's just, if you know me or if you've been following me, you know that I am kind of prone to depression, depressing thoughts, and it always requires like a combination of conscious steps and efforts from me to make sure that I don't spiral too deep into this whole thing. And I recognize it before it comes, and then I can make myself out of it as quick as possible. And all this by myself, not because I don't have a supportive partner, I do, but if you know people who struggle with depression, then you also know that whenever that cloud hits us, we refuse outside help, and we refuse to call our loved ones. We refuse to let them in because we can feel a bit like we don't want to be a burden, and we feel like we are a burden. And we also think that no one really gets us, no one really understands what we're really going through, and then they're just going to come with this think positive and all that stuff, which really doesn't cut through to us. And if you know depression, or if you've ever went through a depressive phase, then you know it's not how it works. Even though I also say that we have the power to choose our thoughts. We have the power to give a different narrative to a story, but sometimes when our mind is playing tricks on us, we're not always able to. Okay, so but what I've been doing these past, few decades of my life is trying to develop these tools for myself that help me not sink too deep, or even if I sink a little bit, but not to stay there for weeks and months like I used to in my 20s. Now it's just a few hours or maximum a few days, and then I feel much better. And right now we are also staying pretty close to my mom, and she's really into helping others to heal, and she has these little magic pills, like homeopathic pills and stuff. So she was also able to supply some of those helpful remedies to me. But again, as I said, in those states, we just really don't want to reach out to others, and I think it just makes everything so much more difficult, and the whole process take longer. But I think my mom has already developed this sixth sense where she knows. I don't have to say anything. She doesn't have to see me, talk to me, or meet me. She knows that something is not right, and then she would be very annoying about trying to reach out to me daily, even several times a day, to just trying to get me out of it and go for a walk, or let's do this, let's have lunch together, all that stuff. Anyway, today's video is not about depression, but I just wanted to bring you a bit more personal information of some of the things I've been going through. And I am adding new tools to my anti-depression toolbox. And once it becomes really tested and tried out and foolproof, I will be sharing it with those of you who are interested, or those of you who struggle with the same thing. Because this is not something I hide. I'm very open about it. And if you want to know more about my summer of healing, this is what I'm calling these few months where unfortunately my partner is away for work, so which doesn't help emotionally, because I love being by myself, but I would also crave his presence. But this is how summer is for us with regards to work right now, and we're gonna get through it. And I decided to give this chapter a title, My Summer of Healing, which initially started in my head about how I'm going to heal myself and my past traumas and nervous system and all that stuff. But at the same time, I also found myself helping others to heal. And it always reminds me, it always confirms it for me that, and I don't know why it is, but every time I'm helping others, I'm giving spinal flow sessions, which is a hands-on body work to calm your nervous system. It is just so healing on me as well. And that's another topic, that's for another video. But anyway, if you want to get a sneak peek into how I am spending my summer days, helping myself and helping others, then go and check it out on Instagram. You can just find me on Instagram under my name, Kinga Kremer, which is my name in one word. Another super exciting news, super exciting to me and to those who follow me on Insight Timer, which is I just published a new course, The Medicine of Silence. If you're not a Insight Timer user, then become one. But if you don't have a premium subscription and you can't afford it, or you don't want to invest into it right now, then I think you could kind of beat the system by signing up to this 7 days free trial and then just listen to whatever you want to. And you could absolutely listen to my 5 days course within 7 days. So yeah, let's get into today's topic, comparison. Is it an enemy or a compass? Because I've been thinking about comparison lately, and it's one of those things that we all do, right? But we are also told to avoid it because it's a toxic habit that steals our joy. They actually do say that comparison is the thief of joy. And I get it, and it can be. And probably most of the time it is, especially these days with everyone's posting, like a polished, curated version of their life. Just the highlights and the glow-ups and the look how amazing everything is in my life moments. And I think it's pretty easy to get lost in that, to forget that what we are seeing isn't necessarily always the full picture. It's just a filtered, boosted, best of real kind of version. And I think comparison doesn't have to make you miserable. Actually, to me, it's something I find inspiring, because when I compare myself to someone, it's rarely out of jealousy. If I see someone doing something incredible, especially someone in my field, doing something bigger or greater or better or in whatever, then two things happen inside me. Part of me lights up like, wow, that's possible. And if it's possible for them, it's possible for me. And then another part of me kind of shrinks a little, like it contracts, like I'm not there yet and maybe I never will be. And for a moment I feel small, but not bitter. It's not resentful feeling, and it's not jealousy. It's kind of like being inspired. That's the weird thing about comparison for me. It often brings up something tender and uncomfortable and something motivating, because it shows me a version of what's possible that I maybe hadn't fully owned yet, or hadn't even thought of or imagined for myself. And then yes, sometimes it also triggers that inner voice which says, maybe I'm not good enough to do that or to have that. But I think I've learned to pause there and to not spiral into that story, and to just actually get curious, because usually that moment of feeling small, that inner nudge, I think it only happens because a part of me wants that too for me. If I didn't want it, it wouldn't affect me. It wouldn't even catch my attention. And that's what I've come to realize for myself. And then I also have to get really honest with myself. Like, do I actually want what they are doing or having? Or do I just want to feel the way they feel when they are doing it or having it? And that's an important distinction, because sometimes I realize that I actually don't want their path. I don't want their audience or their pace or their lifestyle. It's not for me. It looks good on them, but it's not for me. I don't want that car. I don't want that house. I just want to feel more confident, more expressed, more free. And that gives me more clarity on what my next step should be, instead of blindly focusing on or chasing someone else's next step or dream or whatever. And sometimes it's not about the thing itself, you know. I truly think it's about the feeling that it represents for me, or the feeling I think I will have, or the feeling I think it will give me if I reach the same thing that that person did or reached. Access consciousness tools can really help you exploring this deeper. And here are a few questions I ask myself when I feel comparison is creeping in. What's right about this that I am not getting? So instead of making it wrong, I explore what it's revealing. And then if I weren't judging myself right now, what would I be aware of? Because often comparison comes with this hidden judgment, and awareness gets kind of buried underneath the judgment. And then another question is this actually mine? Like, am I picking up someone else's energy, desire, or urgency that isn't even mine? Or is it truly something that I desire? And then what part of me is lighting up here? And what would it take to explore that without actually like copying, you know, or without shrinking? And what if this isn't jealousy or lack, but awareness of something that's possible for me too? These questions don't give me answers right away. That's not their goal. That's not the purpose that they serve. But they create space to move out of self-doubt and into self-direction. So my final thoughts are, no, I don't think comparison is always the enemy. It can be, yes, but sometimes it can also just be a distraction, a distortion. Sometimes it can also serve as a compass. It's not here to make you feel small. It's here to point you toward what's waking up in you. Something is trying to tell you something. And when you meet it with curiosity instead of judgment, you might just find your next bold, beautiful move. Thanks for being here. And if this or any of this sparked something in you, resonated with you, let me know in the comment section. I'd love to know. I'd love to connect with you. And also, what do you notice when comparison shows up for you in your life, when you're like scrolling through Instagram and looking at other people's daily lives? And what might it be inviting you to claim for yourself? Like, share, and subscribe for more. I hope to see you around. Oh, and if you happen to be in Hungary this summer, get in touch, because I'm spending most of this summer here, and I'd love to connect with you. All right, take care. Hope to see you around. Bye-bye.